Hey there, YouTubers. Thanks for tuning back into another video. Today, we've made a little progress on the SI build, and I want to show you and share with you guys what we've got going. We've also got a few things that we need to go ahead and knock out we're going to do on video today. So let's go ahead and get this party started and roll the intro. Boys and girls, thanks for tuning back in another part of this series. So in the first beginning, episode, we ended up kind of disclosing what we were planning to do with the SI. In lieu of that, I've already sold the seats, I've sold the turbo kit, and I'm selling the wheels. Once the wheels are picked up or dropped off today, we'll have a lot of items that we need to go ahead and order and get in our possession, so that way we can kind of move through the sequences that we need to do in order to complete it. In addition to that, whenever we first bought the car, the transmission had some issues. It wouldn't go into any gear at one point, we were told, and then all of a sudden it would go into all the gears, and then finally now it just doesn't have a reverse. So it seems to me that there may be something floating around in there. So at this point, as I mentioned, the seats are gone, the car's on jack stands, the wheels are off. It's looking pretty bare. In addition to that, I've already pulled the engine and the transmission. So we're basically heartless. Today we're going to take the transmission down to Ricky at Infamous Motorsports, get him to check it out, as well as pay him for a few of the items that we need to go ahead and order, and go ahead and get some of these items in transit so that way we can get on the move. So we're going to go ahead and walk you around the car. I'll let you know a little bit of what I found with the engine and a few of the things that I thought were, kind of peculiar along the way. And I've got some time lapse I'm going to throw in here. So let's go ahead and get to it and just start it on. So with that, you should be caught somewhat up to speed, as the engine and transmission are currently sitting on the floor. The engine itself, we need to go ahead and pull a few items off, including the harness. The injectors go with the turbo kit, so they need to be ready for pickup. And then on top of that, we're going to be using a lot of the sensors on the VTEC head. And I've got a buddy checking out the VTEC head to make sure that it's ready to go. We know we're going to need seals. We're putting in a set of springs. We may need to lap the valves, so probably won't see that on camera, but by the time we get the head, I want it to be ready to bolt on. In addition to that, we're going to use the Edelbrock Victor X manifold that I showed in the last video, and on this particular manifold, I need to steal, I believe, idle air control. I think the throttle body has all the sensors. Let's just go over here and check. So we've got at least a throttle position sensor. We need an idle air control valve. And then we need a map sensor to go on the bottom. So we'll be in good shape there. I've got a map sensor and we've got an idle air control valve. This is the F-Series motor for Clifford. So this guy's got to come off so I can put the other one on the stand and we can get to the disassembly. So that way, by the time the VTEC kit arrives, we can start the reassembly. Once I got this thing out and separated, it does have a pretty nice Clutch Masters clutch kit in it. We retained all the power steering stuff, so it's all going back in with the B20Vtec. The transmission sitting here. One of the axles fell apart, so I'm pretty certain we're going to need at least one axle at this point. The actual CV hub is still in the transmission, so we'll give that to Ricky as a little extra. And I guess we need to get loaded up and head to Ricky's. So let's get right to it. All right, on the load there, loaded up. So guys, whenever we get there, I'm not sure if we're dropping it off or if we're going to inspect it while I'm there. It just depends on his workload. And if so, we'll go ahead and do it on video. If not, may have to do a follow-up whenever we get it back. So anyhow, I'll let you know exactly what it takes to fix the reverse, and we'll just keep on going. So we've got to pick up some tires for the car as well, and might get a little dyno action tonight. So let's go ahead and get on the road, and we'll pick you up when we get there. So boys and girls, we've made it to Infamous, we've left Infamous, and we have some bad news. So whenever I get to the house, we'll pull the transmission back out in the pieces that it's in, and we'll kind of go over that. But I wanted to be able to, pay attention as much as I could, and be observant. And then on top of it, I forgot to film. So we'll catch it whenever we get to the house here, and I'll let you know the bad news. All right, YouTubers, so we're back here at the house, and I'm wanting to flip the camera around here in just a second, and I'll show you what we're working with here, and I'll show you what Ricky showed me, and I'll offer somewhat of an explanation the best I can. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so what we have here is a LS transmission without the tail shaft trans casing. So if you can see back in there, that bearing at the end of my finger, that's not supposed to be lodged in there. There's also a groove cut right here. There we go, right there at the end of my finger. That's not supposed to be there. And then there's a different apparatus that's supposed to be not so smushed on the end here. So let's just go ahead and jump in. So ultimately, Mr. Ultimately is back. The synopsis is we believe it's been low fluid. So it's ran hot. The shaft's actually gauded the end of the gear set here. There's a piece missing, and the gauded overheating of the shaft would explain why the bearing is lodged here. Ultimately, Mr. Ultimately, all of the stack was able to travel a little bit too far, so therefore it wasn't able to kick down into reverse. By that being the case, it was probably a matter of time before we wrung off another gear, or potentially had something else start slipping or showing its head. At this point, this transmission's not justifiably and affordably fixable for this particular project. We're going to go ahead and use an oldie but a goodie that I know is healthy. So without any further ado, meet the new GSR transmission. So this transmission, guys, has actually been in the purple car. We put an M factory diff in it, but we're not going to use the M factory diff in this go around, so we can help a little bit in the cost department. We want to maintain as reliable and affordable and as much horsepower as we can, but sometimes you just don't really get all the bells and whistles. So we're going to save that for Clifford. The trans was originally saved for Clifford, but it was a Band-Aid solution. We needed a real dog box, and he probably would have destroyed it anyway. So it's going to be a lot better equipped and fitted for the SI here. So that's the plan. A little pivot, a little switch of gears. So with the GSR we have now, last year it had a little bit of a kind of a grind, almost like a notch. It didn't happen whenever I no lift shifted third, but it did at lower RPM. So it's probably a hub and a slider, maybe even just a hub and a synchro. But with that being known, it gives us a lot better chances of repairing it with, you know, limited expense. So we're going to use that. We're going to repair it, and then we're going to put a stock diff in it. So on top of B20Vtec, it's no longer going to be an LS. It'll be a GSR final drive, and that should help it a little bit as well. So for the meantime, we're going to load up the GSR transmission. We're going to take it to Ricky, get some parts on order, and then in a future video, we'll pick up a healthy transmission and be able to, you know, mount it back to our B20Vtec. But for the rest of the evening, we're going to go hang out with Will and Brandon and scale Brandon's car. So I hope you've enjoyed episode 2, and tune in for 3 here in the near future. We'll catch you guys in the next video.